We're Hassani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships.
This is the Couples Academy Show.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Couples Academy Show. My name is Hassani. Good to have you here with me, wherever you may be around the world. Let us know. We would love to know so that we can acknowledge you. This is the place where people all over the world come and hang out so we could talk about topics like love and life and relationships. And so whatever your relational status may be, we are committed to giving you information that will help impact your life and your relationship. We are continuing the third part 3 of 11 common patterns of emotional abuse. This is a part of our communications series. And so it's important that we realize the pitfalls, the things that we're doing that compromise the integrity of our communication. A lot of the stuff is within us, the things that we struggle with ourselves and we project on our partner. And so we're identifying some bad behavior, some patterns, some things that we may do. But as we do this, I don't just want you to reflect upon how your spouse is showing up or how they're not showing up, but I want you to hold up a mirror. I want you to look at yourself. I want you to begin to reflect. Do I do this? Am I this way? Do I show up in this manner? Has my spouse or my partner been complaining about my approach? This is a season of self-reflection. The key is this. The key to your marital restoration is your personal transformation. And when you take the time to look at yourself and do an assessment of yourself, you begin to realize, wait a minute, there's some blind spots there. I didn't see those before. Maybe there's some things that I can work on. Maybe my approach can be different. Maybe I'm contributing to the demise of this relationship with how I communicate. So, as we go through these things, I want you to be mindful of that. But listen, as you know, Last Chance Weekend, May 13th through the 15th. If you haven't registered, feel free to do so. FOUNDRY started last night. That's right, it started last night. A great group of guys excited about what the next 12 weeks are going to offer. However, the door is almost closed. You have an opportunity to jump in before we officially close the door. So if you've been teetering on, should I or shouldn't I? You should. Just get it done. Unearthed starts next week, next Wednesday. So you still have time to get in. But before we go any further, listen, let me just quickly go to a quick commercial break. As you know, we're promoting this app hard. Some of you are downloading it and saying that you're getting a good experience with it. We just want you to share it with as many people as possible. So stay right here and we'll be right back.
Welcome to the Couples Academy app. The Couples Academy app is your go-to hub for how to do marriage right. Get started with our app today by perusing our amazing features that conveniently allow you to connect. This app is packed with powerful content and resources to help you grow and stay connected. With this app, you can watch our messages, find marriage resources, watch, listen, and read the real-life stories of restored couples, sign up for events, read articles and blog posts, stay up to date with push notifications, share your favorite messages via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or email, and download messages for offline listening. For more information about the Couples Academy app, go to couplesacademy.org.
Couples Academy is committed to serving couples around the world by reaching beyond cultural lines and language barriers. We are proud to announce that we now serve the Spanish-speaking community. So whether you're here in the United States or abroad, Couples Academy has a place for you.
Couples Academy se compromete a servir parejas de todo el mundo, superando las fronteras culturales y las barreras del idioma. Ahora, estamos orgullosos de anunciar que servimos a la comunidad de habla hispana. Entonces, ya sea que estés aquí en los Estados Unidos o en el extranjero, Couples Academy está aquí para servirle.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? Muy bien. ¿Y tú? That's about 4 words I know in Spanish. Even though I lived overseas, you would think I would know a little bit more. I lived in Costa Rica, amazing culture, amazing language, amazing food. And I got 4 words. Danielle became fluent. But in that process, what we did, we came across so many families, so many marriages that were in need of help. And it's interesting, when you travel around the world, things aren't as plenteous as they are here in the United States. One of the benefits of being here, I don't just mean in terms of products and services, in terms of cars and electronics and food choices, but sometimes in terms of coaches and counselors and therapists. And there was a need there, and we realized that that need didn't just exist there, it exists around the world. And so that's why we are so happy that we now have Spanish-speaking practitioners who can help people of any particular ethnic group that has a Latin tradition. And I remember we had a Last Chance weekend this past weekend, and we had this amazing couple from Chicago and said, listen, have you considered doing like your Last Chance weekends in Spanish? And I'm like, man, what a great idea. We would love to serve a community who speaks another language. So we're working on some things, and we're excited about that. But if you are interested in starting a counseling process, reach out to us. We would love to serve you. We have qualifiable people who can assist in that regard. All right, guys, we're talking about these 11 common patterns. We've dealt with 9 of them. We only have 2 more to go. So why don't we just dive deep into the conversation and get started? Now, this is one that many of you have heard about. Many of you have accused your spouse of. Many of you have denied that you are guilty of this thing. But it is a real situation, and we're just going to touch on it a little bit. But one of the negative things that we do in our relationship in terms of how we communicate is gaslight, right? Are you guilty of gaslighting? Gaslighting is a serious thing. And a lot of times we hear it, but don't quite know all that it is or all that it means, because there's a list of characteristics associated with it. So we're just going to give you a few just to whet the appetite a little bit. But one of the ways that a person can gaslight is that they're constantly lying to you, right? Just lying. And you have to understand that many people will deny that they're lying, because they don't realize all the different variations of a lie. Lies have cousins, right? So the omission of truth is a lie. Giving a false impression is a lie. Giving a piece or a portion or a fragment of the truth is a lie, right? Being secretive and clandestine is a lie. You know, all of these things we do where we deceive and deflect and we do all types of things, we're lying. We're lying. And so as Jeff says, Jeff Witt, who's our practitioner for men, he says it's not just enough to tell the truth. You have to stop lying, because you could tell the truth about a great many things, but still continue to lie about other things. And so what happens is, because you've told the truth, the assumption is that you should just believe everything I say. No, not when you continue to lie. I mean, even Satan told the truth, but he twisted it, which made it a lie. You understand? And so you have to be careful that you are not doing that in a relationship, because fine, you may get away with whatever you're lying about now, but it all comes out in the wash, right? And so what happens is you want your spouse to just trust you. Why don't you just trust me? You should just believe what I say. But you've given them a track record that proves that they cannot. And when you do start telling the truth, in addition to stop lying or no longer lying, there's a period of time that you have to be consistent in telling the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God, for your spouse to now become a believer. Otherwise, they may consider you doing what you've always done, and that is gaslighting. Another aspect of gaslighting that we have to be mindful of is when you discredit you discredit your partner in front of other people. Right? Well, oftentimes we can do that. Man, this it's so funny, because in sessions, this is a very common thing. Let me see your phone. Why you want to see my phone? Let me see your phone. Looking through the phone. What's this text? What's this about? Oh, so you talking crazy about me to your friends? You calling me this? You calling me that? That's a form of gaslighting. So whether we're doing it through text, whether we're doing it verbally, whether we're doing it in front of our partner while others are around, when you discredit your spouse, it is an aspect of gaslighting, because in essence, what you're doing is you're building up a case for what's wrong with your partner and what's right with you, right? And so it puts your partner in a space of something's wrong, it needs to be fixed, I'm not the problem is you, and that could be very dishonoring. Another aspect, when you ask someone who gaslights a question and they call you out and they say, I'm reading something, listen, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, there's no acknowledgement of what you did. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. That didn't happen. That's crazy. That's not the facts. Like, there's a denial and a lack of acknowledgement of what just happened. And the more you do that, and you can be convincing, right? You can be persuasive. You can build a case about how your spouse is wrong for what they just saw. It's almost like, do you remember back in the day when Rodney King was beat by these police officers, right? We see this man getting beat down to the ground. And so they tried to convince us that we didn't see what we just saw, that somehow he was fighting back, that our eyes were lying to us, that we were being deceived, that what we observed before the whole world didn't just happen, right? And they ran that play so long in the news cycle that some people actually believe, yeah, he is fighting back. Yeah, he's not. And so, listen, it was Hitler who said, a lie told 1,000 times is more powerful than the truth told once. So whatever the narrative is, even when it's not true, if you can say it enough, it can become convincing, and then you begin to doubt and question your own reality, because the person who denies your truth is so convincing with their truth or with their lie. It's insane, but this is what happens in abusive relationships. This is what happens when people are at war with each other in communication. And once again, you're my nemesis. You're my antagonist. You are my competitor. And so rather than understanding that we're on the same team and we need to come into alignment, it's now a battle of the wits. Who can win? Who will lose? Is that what marriage is supposed to be about? That's what sports are for. You want to be competitive? Get on a field, get on a court, get in a space where you can compete and there's a winner and you walk home with a trophy. But you don't do that in your relationship. Your relationship should not be a ring, a boxing ring where you battle it out to see who's going to be the last man standing. That's not what works in a healthy relationship. And see, all of these things are a part of that gaslighting that we're talking about. Another thing, minimizing your thoughts and feelings. So for instance, let's just say I do something, right? And so now my spouse feels some type of way about it. I was offensive, and now I'm trying to calm them down. You're overreacting. Why are you so sensitive? It's not that bad. And so now the spouse feels bad for their emotions. Now the focus have shifted from the actions to the reaction, right? So your reaction isn't worthy. Your reaction is just over the top. Your reaction. And so what that does is that takes the light and the focus off of the action that led to the reaction. And so now you have no place to express your feelings, no place to vent, no place to have your particular perspective honored and valued, because now it's your fault, right? Even though the cause led to the effect is your fault, right? So it's no longer about what I did. So now I got away with what I did. Right? There's no checks and balances for what I did. There's no accountability for what I did. There's no course correction for what I did, because it's all about your reaction to what I did. And see, that's the problem. If you would just act different and react different and show up different, maybe I wouldn't have done this in the first place. We call that gaslighting. Have you ever experienced that? What side of the gaslighting have you been on? This is a very real situation, folks. And this is what makes communicating with a partner so difficult. And this is what makes people want to wave the white, well, not napkin, but wave the white flag, want to throw in the towel, call it quits, just give up, because they just can't take it anymore. And I'm not dealing with a rational, sensible person who's willing to work through things. It's always a tit for tat. It's always like a war. And I didn't sign up for a battle. Then the other aspect of gaslighting is when you completely deny your wrongdoing. So it's one thing to not acknowledge what you've done and you're shifting blame on your partner, but when you don't even take responsibility or you have no accountability for your bad behavior, where does that leave your spouse? It leaves them feeling defeated. Because am I crazy? Like, is it always me? Like, you're never wrong. You're always right. You don't do nothing wrong. So even when I give you proof and I've got the receipts and I've got eyewitnesses and all, everybody else is crazy but you. So you acknowledge nothing. Nothing you do is wrong. So what hope is there for me in this relationship? These are the challenges that we have when we're gaslighting. So gaslighting is something that we should take the time to really unpack and to talk through and to work through, because if we don't, folks, if we allow gaslighting to continue to remain in a relationship, it will cause such a disconnect, such a demise. And so now there's a gap open. And we know what happens when gaps are open. Someone or something comes in to fill that gap. And that's how we wind up in the circumstances that we do. Listen, gaslighting can be done by both the offender, or let's just say the betrayer, as well as the betrayed. I think what happens is the betrayed then justifies every bad action, every bad characteristic because of what has happened to them. And so it's okay if I do it because of what you did to me, right? That's a form of gaslighting. And so some people are given a pass and others are not. And it doesn't matter who is doing it. It doesn't matter where it comes from. It is a poisonous, toxic behavior that has to be removed from the relationship. And both of you have to get on one accord about what you will and what you won't accept. There's got to be a culture that you establish in your household. If you want to have a thriving relationship, yes, both of you have to be checked, right? You got to be evaluated. You have to be willing to be open and honest about your stuff and realizing that maybe you're contributing to the relational dynamic that you have. And this is why communication is not working well. And I'm going to tell you, when you are in a dark place, when you are not on one accord, the number one focus that you should have is mastering your communication skills. Because if you don't, listen, doing more of the same is just going to get you more of the same. Listen, guys, you're watching the Couples Academy show. We'll be right back after this quick break. Stay right there. Hey guys, you're watching the Couples Academy show. Thanks for tuning in. We're talking about the 11 common patterns of emotional abuse. This is where so many people find themselves when they reach out to us. And so whatever we can do to serve you, just go to the website. All you need to do is go to the website, couplesacademy.org, and you can sign up for a free discovery call. We can talk about your situation and how we could be of help to you, right? So go to the website or reach out to us at 678-200-8996. We would love to serve you well. Listen, let me just acknowledge Lindsay, It's Robin's World, Miss Jules, Gonzalez, Manhunt, Denise, Ralph, Lisa, Kimberly, Christina, Shalise. Listen, I love Sharon. I love it. I love it. I love it. Felicia, all my people. Ralph, I think I said that. Kim, all my people in the house. Listen, we appreciate you. To the Moving Forward members, thank you for continuing to tune in daily to get your dose. To the Foundry and Unearthed members, listen, we appreciate you. This is what you need to do to make sure that you're in alignment. For all of our existing clients, for those in the Last Chance Weekends, the private marriage intensives, we love you and we appreciate you for sharing this with your community. And for those of you who are not a part of this community yet in terms of the inner core, but you continue to tune in, we thank you. There are those of you that you never appear live. You're watching the recorded version of this. And so we just want to acknowledge you too. Listen, keep tuning in. I'm amazed when we get phone calls and say, yeah, we've been following you for 4 years. 4 years and now you decided to call? Well, we're glad you called. We're glad that you have called and continue to call. That's what we're about, giving you information. Listen, there's so much trash and just garbage online. And so what we want to do is we want to become omnipresent, right? We want to become omnipresent with this message to drown out all of the tomfoolery that's out there when it comes to relationships. Many of you are looking for the right advice, but you're going to the wrong places to get it. And so we want to make sure that we provide you with what you need to get you to the place you want to be. Now, we're talking about gaslighting. There's a couple more aspects or components of gaslighting that we want to consider. All right, so number one, it's when the gaslighter uses like compassionate words as weapons, right? We talk about weaponizing our words, but they'll use these compassionate words like, babe, you know I love you so much. You know I would never do anything to hurt you on purpose. They can come across as condescending. Now, they're using the right words, but it's delivered in such an inauthentic, non-genuine, ungenuine, whatever the word is, you know what I'm trying to say. It's just not genuine. And it's just like, dude, why? Like, that's not even who you, like, I see what you're doing and it's not working. It becomes actually more offensive, right? It's like an insult to a person's intelligence. Like, I hear the words you're using, but if you remember, when it comes to communication, words are only 7%. Your tonality, 23, body language, 70. Like, that's the biggest piece of the puzzle. And you don't come across as someone who means what you say, but your words are used in a manipulative way to get what you want. And so, fine. It's almost like, think about this. If you've ever watched the movie, What's Love Got to Do with It, the Tina Turner movie, you remember how Ike would just beat her, right? He would beat the woman, not acknowledge it, and then slide a gift on the edge of the bed so that would somehow make up for the damage that he had done, right? You know I didn't mean to hit you like that. Come on, you know I love you. Come on now, come on. So he would abuse her, and then he would attempt to take care of her, and then abuse her some more, and then attempt to take care of her. See, that is abusive, and you get caught up in this psychological trap, and you're like, how do I get out of this thing? Will this thing ever get any better? Well, listen, if you are the one who is gaslighting, just be honest about your stuff. Get your life right so you can get your relationship right. Here's another component. I know we're spending some time on this, but this is a huge piece here. A gaslighter is someone who has a tendency of rewriting the history. Now, have you ever watched, this is just classic, right? So you ever watch a movie or a show and a situation happens and everybody's telling their version of the story and it's reenacted on screen. And so when this person tells the story, the facts present itself in one way. And then that a person tells a story, it's like a completely different story. Like one person, they're innocent in what they did, and the other person presents them as villainous in what they did. And it's just like, what in the world? And so oftentimes in conversations, it's not necessarily about the facts, it's about the feelings, or the feelings. We emotionalize the facts and we share it in a particular way, and the narratives are so completely different. And I've seen so many couples just like they can't even get they can't agree on any facts. Like if you said it, that's wrong. The way you said it, it didn't happen like that. I don't acknowledge what you just said. And it's just like, if we can't agree on anything, where does that leave us? So you mean what I experienced with you didn't really happen like that, right? So we're going to rewrite history and make it something that it's not. Well, listen, a lot of our history books question the stories, question the facts, because as they say, history is written by who? The victor, not the villain. And so even with what we read in black and white, you want to look like, did it really go down like that? Because there may be another story. And so oftentimes in relationships, that's exactly what you find by the person who gaslights. And what that does, once again, it keeps them being responsible or held accountable or acknowledging anything done wrong. And this is a difficult situation to be in. And so many of us are very abusive and aren't even aware of it because our abuse doesn't show up in a physical way. As long as I'm not physically hitting and hurting and harming you, then I'm good. But really, that mental, emotional, psychological abuse can be more damaging than physical because it lasts much longer, right? If I physically beat you, that may hurt. And eventually that pain goes away. But that psychological, mental, emotional abuse, man, could have you twisted up for so long, you don't even know how to get out of that situation. We're talking about the 11 common patterns of emotional abuse. The last pattern is what we call circular arguments. What are circular arguments? It seems like we're always in disagreement. Like we always keep circling around to the same thing. We call it the crazy cycle. No matter what we're dealing with, no matter what we're talking about, everything's a problem, everything's an argument, everything's brought back to the original issue that I guess never got resolved, or maybe we talked about it, but here we go again, and we're on this merry-go-round. We're on this crazy cycle. We're in this circular argument, and I just want to get off the ride. I just can't take this anymore. I'm frustrated. I'm struggling. I don't know what to do. I don't know when this is going to end, and it's a perpetual cycle of pain that you remain in because of this circular type of argument thing. And so at some point, both of you have to make the decision to say, this is not healthy. We need something different. We need something more. We need a break. I am in a place of desperation and I want out. I don't want out of the marriage. I just want out of the cycle. I want out of the sickness. I want out of the despair that I feel. And this is why watching these videos and talking to your friends and reading Instagram tweets and posts and all that stuff is not enough. It is the start of a journey, but you need something more. And that's why we do what we do here at the Couples Academy Institute. All right, I have a couple comments here. Do you think a person will ever admit that that's what they're doing? It's ugly, so people will deny instead of admit. I think, Felicia, that yes, a person can get to the point where they do acknowledge it. And usually the ones who acknowledge it, if they do acknowledge it, first acknowledge it with others before they acknowledge it with the person who's accusing them of it. And this is why organizations or groups, if you will, support groups like FOUNDRY and UNEARTHED are so important, because when men are alone in their own social space, when women are alone in their own social space, they admit to things that they would struggle to form their lips to acknowledge in front of their spouse because of ego, because of pride, because of, the way that messages are received. And now I admit something and now you weaponize it and throw it back to me. See, I done told you, all of that. And so they're trying to avoid all of that. So that's why they build up this wall and this defensiveness and don't acknowledge anything, but they will acknowledge to others. And so now that they've acknowledged it to others, now there's a pathway to become better. There's a manner in which you can engage in a conversation in a safe environment with your spouse where you don't feel like you're going to be punished or penalized or told, yep, that's what I've been telling you in the first. Like, there's a way and manner in which both the receiver, the recipient of the message, and the deliverer of the message can communicate so it winds up working for you. But yes, absolutely. I mean, Danielle had to admit some stuff. I had to admit some stuff. It took time. It was a process that we went through, and that's why we're in this program, to get the best out of it so that we can become our best selves. Ralph says, you have to realize that there are 3 sides to a story: the winner, the loser, and the truth. So get all sides of the story. Facts. That is absolutely correct. Dee says, my wife was never a liar, but since she lied to me about the affair, I don't trust her anymore. She was living a double life, coming home to me and our family and sleeping with her affair partner. Yeah, because an affair is an absolute lie. So I totally understand being in a place where you can't trust your spouse anymore, but there's a pathway to get to a place where you can trust. And both of you have a role to play in that process. The thing you don't want to do is to be trapped in a marriage where there is no trust. And so the question is, well, why am I in this? If I believe that she's always going to lie, if I refuse to believe that she could ever tell the truth, how is this serving me? Is it serving me? Well, maybe there's something that we can do to get to a better place in our relationship so trust can be restored. Because listen, once the trust is gone and you've, I don't know, come into agreement that it can never come back and I could never trust and I could well, then you're signing up for a life of misery. And who wants that? Let's sign up for something different. All right, another comment from Charmaine. What do you do when 1 minute your partner tells you he loves you, then on the other hand, when he's mad at you, say you're the most uncomfortable person to live with? Well, can both be true? Can I love you and you still be the most uncomfortable person to deal with? That could be true. That could be true. That can be true. So loving you means that everything is perfect, everything's right. Loving you means that they should have only good feelings about you. No, I love you, but guess what? Sometimes I don't like you, and these are the reasons why. I love you, and these are the reasons why. So since we're in this stuck place, this uncomfortable place, because I love you, I'm willing to work through these things so that we can get to a better place. But sometimes, like, oh my God, like when things are good, they are good. But when things are bad, they are bad. And these polar opposites are frustrating. I don't want to be on this merry-go-round. I don't want to be on this roller coaster. I want to love you, but I want to like you as well. And I'm sure you want to like me as well too. So what can I work on so that you can like me better, so that you can feel comfortable in my space? What can you do? Be open to that. Both of you need to be open to that. There are areas of growth that we all can experience. There's a relational dynamic that we have to establish in order for it to be a mutually beneficial, long-lasting, committed relationship. When we have that, we all win. Linda says, what can you do if your spouse doesn't want to get professional help for your marriage? You get it. You get the professional help for you because you need it. Right? A lot of times people don't do anything because they're waiting for their partner to get on board first before they do something. You get it. Continue to pray for him. Maybe there is a support group. Maybe there are classes. Like, for instance, I know many men in particular who don't want to go to counseling because they have their own thoughts about the counseling process, but they'll join a class. Why? Because they can hide in it. But guess what? I'm in this class. I'm at this seminar. I'm at this retreat. Nobody has to know my situation, but I'll listen. Okay, that's a start. I'll take anything that I can get because being in the right environment will help. And eventually, he may become a believer. Like, you know how many people were resistant to the counseling process or have never been to counseling or have had bad experience in counseling, and then they came kicking and screaming when they came, and they were like, oh, wow, this is different than what I thought. This is different than what I've experienced. Wow, I'm now open. Now I have a safe space where I can talk. Right? So if he's not open to professional counseling at this point, that's why we say use these videos. These videos can help, right? Because it allows him to experience us before making the decision to take the plunge. This is why we say it would be better for you to, find someone that resonates with you, right? You resonate with the message and then make a decision. So many of you are dating us. You're courting us. We're aware of that. That would be better than, okay, cool. Let's choose this person. Why? Oh, because their little description looked like they would be a good fit, but you don't know nothing about them. So use these videos as a means of kind of guiding you guys through a process and being open to a conversation. All right, I'm losing track of where I am. Okay, here we go. Trust is lost in buckets and regained in raindrops. That is a fact. That is a fact. And so going back to the whole trust thing, you can listen, but hearing that, even though that's a fact, well, listen, I'm holding, it's just like I got this pot outside and there's rain and I'm trying to collect as much water as possible. It's going to take longer, but I'm willing to do what's necessary to get there because I want to begin to trust you, but it's going to take time. You got to be patient. You got to be consistent, but I'm willing to do the work. It's going to be a long road ahead, but I'm not going to say, well, it's lost in buckets and gained and dropped, so it is what it is. Like, that's true, but let me lean into that truth so that I can get as many drops as possible. I'm committed to this journey of recovery. Are you? Well, let's continue to be consistent and show up the right way so that we can get what we need in this marriage. My partner expects me to be completely over my jealousy and insecurity, and we are only 2 months after her infidelity. How do I approach this? Well, number one, are you getting counseling? Are you going to counseling? Is there someone holding both you and her accountable? Is there somebody explaining to her why you are jealous and insecure, what the root of it is, and how she's contributed to it? Are you both watching these videos? Right? Are you both reading any type of book together? Are you taking a class together? Or are you both stuck in your own positions, on your own sides, feeling your own way, thinking your own thoughts? And because of that, you two remain just in this place of, I don't know, right? The place of, I don't know. The place of, I'm confused. The place of, this is just not working. If you want something different, you have to do something different. So I would encourage the both of you to seek help. Get the help you need. Greg says, she does nothing for recovery, just expects me to do the work on my own, and she doesn't have to do any. Yeah, that's a problem. And unfortunately, a lot of unfaithful partners who are guilty of blowing up their spouse's world are less motivated, enthused to do any work. So get what you need to get for you. Get what you need to get for you. The unfortunate reality is oftentimes we both want the same things, or we desire the same things, but we're running at different paces. One of us is motivated, one of us is stuck. One of us is willing to do the work, the other one isn't. And so don't let that other person slow you down. Get what you need to get for you because you need your own personal healing, and continue to pray and continue to believe and encourage that your spouse do something. And then there are other things that you can do when that doesn't work out. Reach out to us and we can talk about some of those things. All right, guys, I hope this was helpful. We've gone a little bit over, but I just wanted to give you some insight that would be, helpful in understanding what these signs of abuse are. We're going to transition tomorrow into Ask the Experts, or whatever questions you have. But, picking up next week, we're going to get back into more communication techniques that you can use to enhance your relationship. So stay tuned. We love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Reach out to us, set up a discovery call. We would love to hear from you. Take care.